Hello, and welcome to Magic Basics, your introduction to playing Magic the Gathering. Today, we are going to look at the different card types that can be found in Magic. There are 6 basic card types that you will see played in almost every game of Magic. These are lands, creatures, enchantments, artifacts, instants, and sorceries. Each type has its own unique abilities, uses, and rules. Arguably, the most important cards in any Magic deck are the lands. Lands come in 5 basic types, being plains, islands, swamps, mountains, and forests. Each basic land type corresponds to one of the 5 colors found in Magic. Plains are white, islands are blue, swamps are black, mountains are red, and forests are green. Lands are used to produce mana. Think of mana as a form of currency in Magic that allows you to play cards and activate abilities. Once per turn, you are able to put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. This is called playing a land. Lands are considered to be permanent cards, meaning that once they are played, they will stay on the battlefield until another card or effect says otherwise. Lands can be tapped to add mana to your mana pool. Think of your mana pool as a kind of wallet that you can then pull your money out of when you want to play your other cards. To tap a card, simply turn it sideways to denote that it has been tapped. The mana that a land produces when it is tapped corresponds to the type of land that it is and the color it corresponds to. For example, a forest will produce 1 green mana when tapped. It's important to know what colors of mana you have available to you, as different cards will require different amounts and different colors of mana in order to be played. As the phases of your turn end, excess mana from your mana pool will drain, and you won't be able to use it in the future. But don't worry, lands untap at the start of each of your turns, so you will be able to use them for mana again. Creatures fight for you, either by attacking during the combat phase of your turn, or blocking during the combat phase of an opponent's turn. You can play, or cast, a creature as a spell during the main phases of your turns, and, like lands, they remain on the battlefield as a permanent. Creatures enter the battlefield with summoning sickness, which means that a creature you control can't attack or use abilities that require it to be tapped until it starts your turn under your control. You can, however, block with a creature no matter how long it's been on the battlefield, and use abilities that do not require it to tap. Artifacts can also be played during your main phases and are considered to be permanents. Most artifacts are colorless, which means that you can cast them using mana of any color. A special type of artifact is an equipment. Equipment can be equipped to one of your creatures and will give that creature a special bonus or effect. To equip an equipment, simply pay the equip cost and attach it to one of your creatures. An equipment can only be attached to one creature at a time, but one creature can have multiple equipment attached to it. Whenever an equipped creature leaves the battlefield, the attached equipment will fall off and remain on the battlefield, and you may then equip it to another creature that you control by paying the equip cost again. You can also move equipment around to different creatures simply by paying the equip cost again. Enchantments have effects that affect the game as long as they are in play. Enchantments can also only be cast during your main phases, and are considered permanent cards. Like equipment, aura enchantments can be attached onto other permanents to give them unique bonuses and abilities. However, unlike equipment, when an enchanted permanent leaves the battlefield, the enchantment will go into the graveyard. Sorceries are spells that can be cast only during the main phases of your turn and have a one-time effect. After the sorcery is played, it goes straight into your graveyard. You will often hear things that can only happen during a player's main phase as occurring at sorcery speed. Instants are spells that can be cast at any point in the game, even during your opponent's turns. Like sorceries, they have a one-time effect and are put into the graveyard right after use. You will often hear things that can happen at any point during a turn as occurring at instant speed. There is a seventh card type that is somewhat common to see in games called Planeswalkers. Planeswalkers are powerful beings in the world of Magic that have several abilities of their own. Planeswalkers' abilities will either add or subtract from their loyalty counters. Only one of a Planeswalker's abilities may be used each turn, and they can only be used at sorcery speed. Players can attack Planeswalkers just like they would another player, and damage them with anything that could damage a player. Damage to a Planeswalker removes loyalty counters from them, and if a Planeswalker's loyalty reaches 0, it will die and be moved into the graveyard.